Okay, welcome. Hopefully that has fixed it. Fingers crossed. Beautiful. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm just going to check if there's anyone else coming in, and then I'll get started and have a chat with you. There we go. Good. All right. I think we are ready to roll. So thanks for joining me this Saturday for our virtual open day for the Australian Shiatsu College. I am recording this so that those who are unable to make it are able to catch up and see what's going on. And once this has been processed, we'll upload it on our YouTube and Facebook channel as well for anyone who is curious about what we are offering and what the options are. So the plan for today is that I'm just going to take a few minutes and I'm going to go through just a short presentation I have to discuss what it is that we're offering going into 2025. Hopefully I answer a lot of your questions when I do that, but if there are questions that I haven't answered, then of course, please ask them. You are welcome to interrupt me as we go and ask them if the questions are live for you. And if not, I'll also offer a space at the end where we can discuss different possibilities and pathways and what that might look like for you and what the options are from here. So yeah, thanks once again for joining me on Saturday morning. I know it's a beautiful day. It looks like 32 degrees out there and the kids are begging me to go to the pool. So we all have lots of things we want to get to today. Wonderful. So yes, anyway, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jason, and I'm the director of the Australian Shiatsu College. I've been with the college. I studied there beginning in 2011, I think is when I started my diploma, and I started teaching there in 2013. And since 2020, I've stepped into the director role and have been steering the directorship for the past few years. And through that time, we've seen a lot of change in the college. We've moved from our beautiful warehouse that we had in East Brunswick to now delivering our training primarily down at Ceres in East Brunswick in the beautiful bushland setting there, and also across a few other venues as well when we introduce our remote and intensive streams of study, which we are now facilitating and offering. And of course, being the Shiatsu College, our core thing is Shiatsu. It's in our name, right? But many people come to our open days and they're not even familiar with what Shiatsu is. So as a brief introduction, it's a bodywork modality. It's a Japanese massage modality, if you like. And I know some are a little hesitant to utilize the word massage when we talk about Shiatsu, but we are talking about a bodywork. We are talking about a system of healing and therapy that involves using our hands and, of course, applying the principles of East Asian medicine. And where I talk about East Asian medicine today, I am doing it very purposefully. There's a lot of terms that are used with this, such as Chinese medicine and Oriental medicine. I like the term East Asian medicine because I think that what we deliver and what we bring forward is an amalgamation of theories that have common roots in the observation of nature and yin yang and five elements. But we draw on so many different cultures that just calling it Japanese medicine or Chinese medicine or Korean medicine doesn't really seem to sit appropriately. I think it's good to acknowledge that there is broad perspectives that have led to what we teach. And so that's why I'm going to use the term East Asian medicine today. And with Shiatsu, we are applying pressure across various parts of the body. We're using pressure using our fingers and our thumbs and our palms and our knees. We're using our body weight to deliver pressure. So it's a very centered sort of treatment. And we work along the principles of East Asian medicine. So what this means is that we're working through the channels of reflections of musculature and pathways on the surface of the body, which influence our internal organs. And we use that theory much like an acupuncturist would to treat not just the scheme of musculoskeletal complaints like a sore neck or a sore back, but also to facilitate inner health, whether inner health be digestive health or fertility health or emotional health. Shiatsu is a beautiful beautiful modality, because I think one of the keys to it is that the time spent on the mat with a practitioner really helps one to re-enter and re-center oneself back in one's body, which in such a busy life that we lead is so essential in this day and age. And we do work within these principles of East Asian medicine. And of course, the East Asian medicine, at least to me, and yes, I'm biased, it really is one of those fundamental theories of how we can live in accordance with the world around us, because it's all based on the observation of rhythms of nature. And when we begin to understand these simple movements of day and night and light and dark and the seasons, and we begin to see how that reflects within us, and we begin to learn how we can attune our lifestyles and our patterns and our habits to be in accordance with that. And that brings us into a state of well-being and health. And well-being being that state where our body is able to best respond to the shifts and changes that we encounter. Now, the college has a very long history. It's been around for pushing almost 40 years now. And we are one of two institutes currently in Australia that deliver the nationally recognised training, which is the Diploma of Shiatsu and Oriental Therapies. This is a nationally accredited training. And so what that means is that it's governed by a training package, which has units of competency dictated by the government, and you can find them on training.gov.au. Yes, that's the right one. And those units of competency give us a framework for which we deliver. And some of those units are very common units. And by common units, I mean that they're not just related to shiatsu, but they're also related to other qualifications, such as anatomy and physiology or infection control. So there's a lot of crossover and standardization, which means that we have a recognized level of training. And of course, we have shiatsu specific units in that as well. And this nationally recognized level of training and this agreed upon standard, which includes ongoing training and continual professional development, means that with this qualification, one is able to practice as a shiatsu practitioner and achieve registration with the health associations, such as STAR, the Shiatsu Therapy Association of Australia, or ATMS, the Australian Traditional Medicine Society. And through that, of course, is offering the ability for professional indemnity insurance, which is really important when one practices professionally and has paying clients. And hopefully, possibly one of these days, we may see this shift with the health fund rebates, which many years ago were removed from shiatsu, but the appeal and the review of that process is moving along. There's been some progress in that this year, and we're hoping to see that the government will shift the boundaries and reintroduce modalities like shiatsu back into the health fund rebates for the ability, therefore, for private health insurance to provide rebates for those who have it. But we have been sorry, didn't mean to go ahead there. That picture there is the warehouse we used to have in East Brunswick. That was our home for many, many years. But of course, now we are down at Ceres. And since we've moved to Ceres, we have had a transition in our delivery. Our delivery model is now through a blend of online and in-person learning. We have a lot of content that we bring to you in our 2-year diploma. And part of that is knowledge-based content. Part of that is practical learning. And of course, all the practical learning we feel really needs to be done in person. So we leverage the time that we have together to focus on hands-on learning, to focus on learning the skills and the qualities and exploring what it means to be a practitioner, what it means to treat people, and indeed have a lot of clinical experience treating people within the diploma. And that's all about in-person learning. But then we have a lot of online learning and theory-based learning. And we primarily present this through pre-recorded lecture content, which is supported by live interactive tutorials. So students will have the ability to engage in the progress through the lectures and the learning material at the time of week which best suits them, to move around their schedules. And being recorded, it makes it nice and easy for them to be able to review that or revisit the parts that they didn't grasp or they want to go deeper into. But then, of course, we have these live interactive tutorials, and that's where we have our trainers who have many years of experience come into that space with students and offer the ability to ask questions live, and offer exercises and activities where we can work together to unpack some of these concepts and explore how these theories of East Asian medicine reflect in our own lives and reflect in our own practices. And everyone has such a unique background that they bring such beautiful insights to it in those discussions. And so this blend between online and in-person learning allows us to be quite flexible, and it allows us to have a schedule which is quite accommodating for those that need to work regular work hours. Most of our level 1 subjects indeed are actually in the evening, so there's a lot of space to work around a work schedule and move through this journey towards becoming a shiatsu practitioner while still attending to other things. And then from there, we use some of this, and we use some of this as professional development for the industry, and we also engage other well-known practitioners and trainers from around the world who we bring to Australia to support the profession and run workshops, continuing professional development workshops in many different fields such as Japanese acupuncture, moxibustion, shiatsu. We have Bill Palmer coming down next year doing a fascinating workshop on the development of meridians and how we actually form these channels and these networks through the basic movements that we learn as infants, and what that means within the significance of that within the development of an infant, both physically and within their mental, emotional, and personality characteristics. So we run a lot of CPD workshops that support both our graduates, but also those from other professions. And all of this does tie, of course, around that diploma. That is our central offering, is the diploma. We we have a little bit of a mission there that we really want to see more shiatsu practitioners around the place. Yes, we're biased. We're very we're very passionate about shiatsu, and really believe that we need more shiatsu practitioners in the field, and we need more of them all around Australia. And so the diploma is that pathway to professional practice. It is that pathway to being a professional shiatsu practitioner who not only has a large toolbox of skills and abilities within the shiatsu bodywork framework, the styles of shiatsu, the Zen shiatsu, the classical Namakoshi shiatsu, barefoot styles of shiatsu, but also many of the other things that we bring into the diploma, such as Sotai therapy, such as moxibustion and cupping and gua sha. And within that, they have a lot of understanding of East Asian medicine and the ability to use things like Hara abdominal diagnosis or pulse diagnosis or tongue diagnosis, these tools that you may be familiar with from your acupuncturist or Chinese herbalist. And we use those to develop an understanding of the patterns that are present within a person. And these patterns are the underlying root causes, if you like, of the symptoms, of the experiences that they're having. And thus we can begin to address that and facilitate healing from the inside out within the body to support the body and the person's own natural ability to regulate. So that's the diploma, which is our big central core offering. But we also have a few other offerings which we'll discuss here today as well. One of them is the Certificate of East Asian Medicine or East Asian Wellness. And this is drawn from our diploma, and it's very much focused on students who want to bring East Asian medicine into their life, or those who might already have a practice. There might be a remedial massage therapist, a naturopath, a kinesiologist who wants to go a little bit deeper into the knowledge of East Asian medicine and into the diagnostics and understand how one can apply these things therapeutically without necessarily using the bodywork practices of shiatsu. So within that, we also explore diet and lifestyle therapy, the basics of living with seasonal adjustments to our life and seasonal adjustments to our diet, and how we can use food therapeutically and flavors therapeutically in both food and beverages such as tea to begin to address these patterns. And then from there, we also have short courses. And a lot of our short courses are the places where people start on this journey. And of course, the most popular and the beginning stepping stone is our 18-week Zen Shiatsu short course. That is the beginning of our diploma. All of our short courses are taken from the diploma. They're modules of our diploma. So they offer credit into the diploma pathway for those who want to continue down that journey. But the Zen Shiatsu is that introduction. It is an 18-week exploration of the fundamental principles and practices of Shiatsu. And at the end of that journey, one has learnt how to treat the body, in various positions on the mat, whether lying face down or on the back, and how to treat all the different channels and have this basic understanding of those channels and those organs within the body. And that facilitates their ability to provide these wonderfully therapeutic treatments to their friends and family. It is not a professional qualification, but it does definitely give a very valuable life skill of being able to offer nurturing to those around you in your community in a non-paid basis. And of course, there's a range of other short courses that accompany that. We do Oriental Medicine Frameworks, which is our theory-based exploration of East Asian medicine principles. And once you complete those, it does open the door for a lot of other short course options, further studies in Shiatsu, etc., all of which, of course, are drawn from the diploma. So let's have a look at the diploma itself, which is a primary reason why a lot of people are coming to us. As I said, we are one of two providers. There is the College of East Asian Medicine, I can't remember their exact name, up in Lismore. They also offer the diploma program, but we have been known as a leader in the field for many, many years. We offer a 2-year full-time diploma program, which can be completed 4 years part-time. It is nationally recognized training, and as I said before, it is delivered via this blended learning model where we have knowledge-based content online. We have a learning management system online which allows you to explore that material and explore the written resources and the video resources, revisit them as you progress. There's lots of exercises in there to help consolidate your learning. There's Q&A forums so you can discuss things between tutorials and the live tutorials. And then, of course, there is the practical learning, the practical classes of learning the skills, which is very important in first year that we do Zen and classical and barefoot Shiatsu, when we learn these styles of Shiatsu and we bring that into some clinical experiences. Our level 1 students do 10 days where they come in and do clinics where they're going to invite friends and family in and provide them full treatments under supervision of our trainers. And when they move into second year, and they're furthering this journey and they're learning more skills, then they're engaging in our level 2 clinic. And this is operated by the college where we invite the public to come in and they pay for treatments. And they have a 90-minute experience where the students will engage in a full diagnosis through the East Asian medicine lens and offer them a full treatment and lifestyle advice and integration of all these learnings in preparation for them to become a professional practitioner. But this blended learning model, what that's done for the college has also opened up the ability for us to invite people to join the diploma pathway who are not in Melbourne. We love in-person classes, and where we held them in Melbourne at our college, there's definitely something to be said about being in the space one-on-one in a physical environment with the trainers and the alchemy that happens in that classroom. But of course, you have to be in Melbourne to experience it. And so with this blended model we have now, we're actually able to invite students from all around the country to participate in these classes, which means they can participate in the diploma pathway, which means we can have people who reside in Tasmania or Western Australia or Northern Queensland begin on this journey of becoming a Shiatsu practitioner, to then take back this as a new career pathway and a new offering to the communities in a professional sense, which is very exciting because, as I said earlier, the mission really is to see Shiatsu out there in more places and more people get to experience and understand the depth and the richness of this therapy. So to go in that a little bit deeper, those online lessons, knowledge-based content lessons, they're pre-recorded lessons. We have handouts. You can watch these on your own schedule. So depending on what your life brings for you, if you have full-time work, you have children, you have professional sports or non-professional but highly passionate sports or other hobbies or activities, you can find the time of week which best suits you to watch these videos, to work through these lectures. They're non-scheduled. Now, we do offer regular emails and touch bases to help your progress and help you know where you should be up to and what you should be tracking with to help move through the content and to move through progress. That's there present for you to help you. But it is up to you, of course, to find that time that best suits you. And of course, honor that space, just like you would if you were going to a live classroom. If you were saying that I am in class from 11 to 1 on a Wednesday afternoon in East Brunswick in person, it's the same thing. You just say at home, this is my corner of the lounge room. No one disturb me. I'm studying. So we have that non-scheduled learning, which gives you that freedom again to revisit it. And that is with our weekly tutorials, which for level 1 students are scheduled on Monday nights from 6:30 to 8:30. Now those are scheduled. We do try and put those at one of the, there's no perfect time. We try and be as unobstructive as we can there, so that you can attend those tutorials live outside of work hours and have those discussions and have that exploration of the material. We do, of course, record those so that you can revisit that content. We make those available to you as soon as possible after the tutorial. And of course, if the occasion comes that you have to miss one or two of them, then the recordings are there for you. But of course, participating in those is really a richer learning experience. And because we're delivering this nationwide, it means that our Melbourne-based, our Hobart-based, our Perth-based, our Queensland-based students are all in those same tutorials. And where those tutorials are for some of the subjects such as Oriental Medicine Frameworks, which we also offer as a short course, then those short course students are joining that. And so this year, for example, we have had students from New Zealand and from America joining into those conversations, into those tutorials, which has provided such a beautiful, rich discussion from multiple perspectives. And we look forward to seeing that kind of engagement continue. So those are our knowledge lectures. We have our practical-based lectures. So for our Melbourne-based students, this involves weekly classes on a Thursday down at the Series Learning Centre, which you can see in the image here. It's a beautiful, beautiful building that's got this lovely bushland setting. You can stare out the windows at the meditation bush garden they built outside. And we run our classes on Thursdays. So for level 1 studies, your classes are from 6:30 to 9 on a Thursday evening. And in first semester, that is doing 18 weeks of Zen Shiatsu. And in second semester, classical Namakoshi and then barefoot shiatsu, so different styles of shiatsu in that time slot. And then across the entire year, you'll come in on 5 Fridays to do student clinics. And those Friday sessions run from 3:30. 3:30, yes. So from 3:30 to 5:30, there's an integration class. You have a small break of half an hour, and we encourage everyone to bring a bit of a potluck dinner and just have a bit of a communal meal. And then from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, there's revision. 7 to 8 and 8 to 9, then you're doing treatments in the clinic. So as much as possible, as I said, we're trying to keep that as unobstructive to work hours. And that's for our Melbourne-based students who are engaging in our diploma program. Of course, that's not practical for those who live further away. Those are in Hobart or Queensland. And so we are also offering an intensive stream. Now, the way this intensive stream works is that those students who are remote to us will come to Melbourne for 4 week-long intensives. That's 4 week-long intensives across level 1. And of course, in level 2, there's another 4 week-long intensives. So the dates are up here for 2025. Our first intensive week is from Tuesday to Sunday, the 11th to the 16th of February. And what will typically happen in one of those weeks is over those 6 days, you will come in, and at the beginning of the week, the first 4 days, you'll be concentrating on learning these practical skills. So this will be Zen Shiatsu. And in fact, the first 2-week intensives are focused around Zen Shiatsu. So you'll be in classes morning and night, learning, integrating. All of these practical classes involve discussion, demonstration, and then of course practice, where you are treating and emulating the skills that you have observed on a partner, and then experiencing that as well, because they're 2 very important parts of that learning process, both doing it and understanding how it feels to receive it. So you'll do those in the intensives over those first 4 days, and then you'll move into some clinic spaces as we hit Friday and Saturday. And then on Saturday and Sunday is where we start to have workshops for other subjects that are within the diploma program. And those workshops that are within the diploma program that one might be doing at the end of an intensive week, our Melbourne-based students are also joining you in those classes. because you're all on the same journey. So we want to bring you together as much as possible to connect and to share the journey and to work together and to get to know other bodies and other people on this same space. So we run those 4 intensives, February, April, and then second half of the year we have August, where August will be for barefoot shiatsu, if I'm right, and then October is classical shiatsu. And of course, they're finishing off on integration weekends and workshops with our Melbourne-based students. So we have that ability to offer engagement for those here in Melbourne and those who are further away from us. Now, not all of the learning is done in the classroom. Like any skill, you need to practice it. And so we have a requirement in level 1 and level 2 that students are going to complete a logbook. Now, what those logbooks look like is primarily centered around the treatments you're doing in your own space at home. So in level 1, and this shouldn't slightly incorrect the slide, sorry. You have 20 home treatments. So that's your self-practice treatments. That's you treating friends and family and practicing what you've learned in class. And that could be with fellow students, it could be with your partner, or it could be with your children, it could be with your best friend. But you're doing home practice treatments, integrating this. And trust me, it's generally not very hard to find volunteers, especially after you've done your first few practice treatments. You will also learn how to give self-shiatsu, how to treat yourself. And so you will also record these specific treatments that you're doing for yourself. So you're learning how to take care of your own health through shiatsu. And all of that makes up part of the logbook, which is also, where are we? Sorry. Comes into the clinical experience. The other part, it's not on here, that's why it says a little out, sorry. The other part of this logbook is your clinical supervised treatments. So the ones that you will do either in those Friday clinics or in the clinics we're running the intensives, where you'll be treating friends and family, people of our community that we bring in to help you find those bodies to integrate your learning. That's all part of the log-based out of classroom practice. Level 2, it's a similar sort of structure. Here, though, you're doing 30 home treatments over that year, 30 self-treatments. So we're upping that engagement. You're really becoming involved not only in practicing all these different skills that you're learning on your friends and family, but also on yourself. You can see that that self-treatment engagement also rises because it's a very crucial part of becoming a practitioner, and holding space for other people is being able to hold space for yourself. So we very much encourage that, not only in these self-treatments, but in a lot of the personal development work that occurs within the diploma. In both years, you're writing personal and professional development plans, and we have a lot of reflective work, reflective assessment work. We have this beautiful assessment in level 1 in the second semester, where we call it the Qi maintenance. And you go out for 2 months and you find a new practice, such as a new Qigong practice or Tai Chi practice, something that's different to what you currently do, and you bring this into your life. And then you start reflecting each week on what this new element does for you, how it is affecting your own health, your physical and mental and emotional health, your concentration, your ability to be at work, but most importantly, your presence when you go and practice at home on friends and family or in clinic, how it changes your presence in the treatment space as a practitioner, because it's a really crucial part of being a practitioner. So we see all of that being part of these self-treatments and this ongoing development of you as a practitioner. Now, we also include in their treatments with and from professional practitioners within the industry, as well as mentor treatments. And these mentor treatments, there's a high requirement for those who are studying remotely, because you're with us less regularly, where you're going to treat an experienced, ideally shiatsu practitioner on a very regular basis. So a remote student living in Tasmania will, in second year, would be doing this roughly once a month. And hopefully within that engagement process, you're getting valuable feedback on your progression, progressive feedback on things you can work on, things that you are landing for you. You have the opportunity to ask some questions. We want to establish these relationships within the industry that can help support you both through your studies and postgraduate as well. The time expectations of study is always an important question. A full-time student, now, obviously this really depends on you. Everyone has their own method of study, their own approaches to study. Some like to watch videos a few times. Some might watch the first video being very present and then might like to revise it a few times while they are washing the dishes. So always encourage full presence for at least the first watching. But often when you revisit material, you go deeper and deeper. And I mean, look, that's part of teaching. Every time I teach the same material, I'm learning a lot about it. We all do. It's just peeling the layers of the onion and going deeper and deeper. But we all have a different approach to that. Some of us might get really excited by books. I have a few books on my bookshelf. We might get excited by books, and we might do a lot of supplemental reading in that direction, or articles. There's lots of different ways in which we might explore this. So I'm going to give you ballpark figures here. And that is for a full-time student. And I'll talk about our local Melbourne stream. I ballpark 10 to 15 hours a week is what is the time commitment. And the way that I break that down is you have a 2.5 hour practical class, a 2 hour weekly scheduled tutorial. You also have roughly 2 hours of home practice. That might be 60, 90 minutes, especially early on where you have less to practice. Those treatments might not be as long, and that's perfectly fine. And if you're doing a weekly practice, you are exceeding the requirements of the logbook, but you're exploring this beautiful modality. So it's pretty easy to do. I'm averaging 2 hours of weekly content, lecture content. That does shift a little bit week to week, but that's an average over time. And then, of course, allocating within that, 2 to 3 hours of self-study or working on assignments and assessment tasks. And so that's quick maths on that one, 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 and a half hours there. And obviously people are going to play that differently depending on how you attend to study and how you attend to revision. So that's a ballpark figure for full-time study. Now, of course, if you're doing that remotely, the big difference there, I guess, is that you don't have the regular practical class each week because you're coming for the intensives instead. And what's not mentioned in here for our Melbourne-based students is that you have those 10 Fridays. So that's 10 Fridays additional where it's a 5-hour commitment. So that might add on there a little bit. If you were to average that out, might add an extra hour onto that averaged. But that's what it looks like for time commitment. So it's not extremely demanding, but it is definitely deep and profound, the learning. These are the clinics. The clinics that arise in our Melbourne stream there's 10 clinics. There's 7 clinics in the intensive stream. You can see the clinics there for level 2. This image is showing one of our clinics down at the learning centre. We run communal clinics. So whenever the clinics, we're treating in an open space. And there's something really beautiful about treating in an open space that everyone's coming into to heal together and on a journey together. Cost is often a big question as well. The cost of our diplomas, they're remaining static as we move into 2025 from this year. So our level 1 costs is around 8,500. Level 2 costs is around 9,500. It's about 18,000 all up for the diploma costs over the course of your entire study, which might be over 2 years or 4 years. Now, diploma fees are paid through monthly installments by direct debit, which means basically centered around your specific enrollment, whether it's part-time or full-time, whatever you enrolled in that year. We just tally it up and split it over 10 months by direct debit. It's nice and simple, and it's the easiest, most manageable way to approach that. We unfortunately, Shiatsu is not does not fall under fee help at the moment. So unfortunately, we can't offer that support for students at this stage. So it is self-funded, which is another reason why we try and make our courses so accommodating to work schedules so that you can fund your studies. Now, other things that happen here is also recognition of learning. We have many students join us from other healing modalities, people who come in from remedial massage or come in from naturopathy, Chinese medicine practitioners, acupuncturists. And so we offer recognition of prior learning and credit transfer options for students with prior experience, prior study and work experience. And within that, we look at what you studied and when you studied and how you've applied that. And of course, we assess your knowledge and we look at if there's ways that we can essentially fast track your progress through some of those units. Now, I will highlight that what that means is it doesn't reduce the time frame over 2 years, because the practical learning of Shiatsu takes 2 years to progress through the hands-on stuff, it takes a minimum of 2 years. But what that might mean is that you have less other stuff to study. And those who have a diploma of remedial massage in particular, especially some of the later packages, I think it's the 22 qualification, we have a lot of those common units, which means if you have that qualification, you have done our units in anatomy and physiology and work health safety and infection control and business planning and a bunch of other ones. And because it's the same unit, we give a direct credit transfer, which A, means there's no cost. It's nice and simple. B, it means that your primary focus of study is just on the East Asian medicine and the shiatsu stuff. So it makes for a very focused pathway. So we have that ability, and of course that is a discussion that we would have during an enrollment interview to identify those options and how that might play out for you and affect your study plan, which is why the first part, of course, of joining the diploma is to have an enrollment interview with me where we will go through these sort of questions and explore your recognition of prior learning and develop a training plan for you. And then at the other end, when you finish, then you may get standing into other qualifications. So if you were to start with diploma of shiatsu and have those common units and then wanted to do remedial massage, you will have the credit for the anatomy and physiology and the work health safety and all those common units, and would just do the remedial massage component. And of course, many students also fall in love with East Asian medicine and want to therefore further their studies and become an acupuncturist or a Chinese herbalist. And so there are some pathways for study into the Bachelor of Chinese Medicine. Torrens University and Endeavour down here, they will offer certain amount of recognition for some of the studies you've done with us to give you advanced standing in their programs on that pathway if you're looking to become an acupuncturist, etc. And so our diploma does have limited space. Within the Learning Centre down at Ceres, or in the other space we use, which was the Augustine Centre and the Living Centre. So the Augustine Centre is in Hawthorn, the Living Centre is in East Melbourne, where we do our intensive programs. We have limited space in there. And that limited space means that we have a maximum capacity of 12 futons. And in our classes, in those practical classes, in a Zen Shiatsu class with 12 futons, it means we can have 24 students because 2 students to a mat works perfectly. But when we move into the diploma-specific classes like the clinics and you're treating people externally, then we can only have 12 students because we have to have a mat for each student as well as space for those people to come in. And so therefore in each stream we have a cap of 12 diploma students for the Melbourne-based stream and for the intensive stream. The practical classes, of course, then those other spaces are made up with people who are just doing the short course study. So we get that nice mixture of pathways within that space. But it does mean we have limited space on both the Melbourne and intensive programs. So we are running our enrollment period now. We run it through to the middle of December. And we encourage students who are keen to explore this pathway to jump on it sooner rather than later, so that we can make sure that you get a space and we have you enrolled for that program. You know, should there be spaces still available when we hit mid-January and moving into February, we will of course open that for late enrollments, but this is our primary enrollment period. So we do encourage people to reach out and begin the conversation, at least now, to explore what that looks like. And the primary way to do that is this link, is booking an enrollment interview. So an enrollment interview is an hour spent where we will answer your personal questions. We will look at your recognition of prior learning, your prior experience. We will determine what sort of study pathway you want, whether you want full-time or part-time, and what that looks like in terms of your actual subjects. And we'll begin to develop your personalized training plan and work through, of course, all of the other requirements of enrolling in diploma, making sure we have the right information from you. So if you are keen to follow that, then of course that is the next step, is to follow that link there, and I'll put it in the comments when I post this online. What are the opportunities? Why do people do this? Many people just do it out of self-interest, which I always find really fascinating. A lot of people study shiatsu because they just want to learn more about themselves, or they want to learn more about the body, or they want to learn more about the world around them and East Asian medicine. But of course, those who want to be practitioners, many of them become self-employed clinic owners. They'll work in private practice and they'll hire a room in a clinic. They may work for a complementary health clinic that engages and pays them either a commission rate or a salary. They might work in fields such as corporate massage. Shiatsu is perfect for corporate massage, where they do the 15 or 30-minute treatments in the office space because it's done fully clothed. There's no need to remove anything. There's no oil. It can be done at the desk seated. It's beautiful for that. And also things like aged care support, right? It's a huge burgeoning field at the moment of supporting care to the elderly, often with home visits or in-facility visits. So shiatsu again is really ideally placed for that because we can work without oil and with clothes on. This is the certificate I mentioned earlier. This is exploring for those who don't want to do the full diploma pathway, but are interested in learning about East Asian medicine. It has those foundations of East Asian medicine. It's essentially our frameworks 1 and 2 from first year. And then it has diet and lifestyle maintenance, which includes the elements of that from our level 1 studies and our level 2 studies. So all these components of our diploma are being drawn out into this package. This is entirely delivered online. And it's really for those who want to expand their own understanding of health, their own understanding of their own health, and how they can begin to live in accordance with the seasons and nature around them to improve their own health or that of their friends and family, or bring that into their practice. A naturopath who wants to start bringing some East Asian medicine principles into their practice because they love how much it aligns with their own personal philosophies. This generally goes for a year, and the cost is there $2,000 for the program online there. And that's a link if you want to have a look more at that. The other short course options that we offer, so Zen Shiatsu and Oriental Medicine Frameworks is often the starting point. Zen is that 18-week foundational course, which is also offered in the intensive program over 2 weeks for those who want to do it as a short course format in there with our remote students. Frameworks is delivered online. We have Frameworks 1 and 2, so obviously you do 1 first. Frameworks 1 is exploring the foundational theories and philosophies of East Asian medicine. We look at Buddhism, we look at Taoism, we look at yin-yang theory and 5-element theory. We explore the idea of what qi is and blood is and shen, our spirit and our consciousnness. And then we begin to explore how that manifests in the body through the different organs, the 12 organs of the body. Oriental Medicine Frameworks 2 is where we begin to explore what happens when that falls out of accordance with the world around us and disease begins to arise. So we look at the causes of disease and the ways in which we begin to see that from an East Asian medicine framework and the typical patterns that begin to develop. So that's all an online short course study, and many students will study Zen Shiatsu and Frameworks 1 at the same time because it's giving them the knowledge-based depth as well as the practical hands-on tactile, and they blend together so beautifully. So that's all, of course, taken from our diploma. It is direct credit back into our diploma, as is physiology, which is the Western physiology, looking at the cardiovascular and the respiratory and the urinary system, the digestive system for a deeper understanding, which is part of our program. We, of course, have anatomy in second semester, which goes on from that, looking at the muscles and joints, etc. And then there's other things which we also offer as short course studies, such as the interpersonal dynamics or cupping and gua sha. I do that as a 1-day workshop. We've also actually been taking that around the country with ATMS to teach remedial massage therapists. Now, some of those are focused on those who already have a little bit of background in body work, but there is a wide range of things that come out of our program that are offered as short course study options there. So I think I've talked pretty rapidly. Apologies, I tend to do that. You can get excited about this too. That's what we're offering this year. And so we are in our enrollment period at the moment, and we'll be running that up until the middle of December. For short course enrollments, those can purely be done online. You can go to the website, go to the short course enrollments section and have a look at the Zen Shiatsu. And if you want to join in, you can simply enroll online. There's not a lot that needs to be done to facilitate that. But for those who want to join the diploma program, then definitely there needs to be an enrollment interview and expression of interest so that we can have a discussion with you and make sure that we are outlaying all the expectations and developing the best plan and movement forward for you in particular. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint for a moment. Hopefully that puts my face back up again. And I'm going to ask of those here, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please just unmute yourself and ask, or I've got the chat open on the side so you can open that up as well. Um, but yes, is there any questions specifically you wanted to ask at this point? Nothing seems to be coming in just yet. Hopefully that means that I've done a really good job of answering all your questions. Can be hard to tell sometimes. Yeah, hopefully that means I've managed to answer all of your questions. If there are, of course, questions that I haven't answered at this point, then you are very much welcome to reach out to the college. You can give us a call or an email. Obviously, I'm not going to respond to anything over the weekend, but we will get back to you during the week. Um, If you'd like to join us for studies, as I said, we have the short course programs all available to enroll online. Just go to the website, look for the menu, go down to short courses, and you'll see the wide range of things we offer. Of course, for those who haven't stepped into this field before, do start with Zen Shiatsu and consider putting frameworks, oriental medicine frameworks alongside that. Otherwise, for the diploma, you can go to the Shiatsu diploma page, read more about that there. And from there, you should find the links to arrange your enrollment interview and your expression of interest, etc. So, look, I thank you very much for your time and your attention and your presence. It is a bit funny talking to the camera and not to you in person. It feels a little bit different to the live open day that we did the other day. But hopefully you found this very informative. Hopefully you found it useful. And said, if you have any questions, please reach out. And otherwise, please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.